Ever since a baby, I've been trying to get away, trying to lock in the guap, trying to block all the pain. I'm a blind little boss, I'm on top of the game. I've been plotting a lot, now I'm tossing your bait. Yeah, my pops got caught, didn't lock them away. My mom fought hard, 5 jobs in a day. I'll be dropping the vibes, and I'm copping the pain. We off to the stars to a tropical place. Ooh, yeah, I'm spitting it heavy, the mission is steady. Your bitches are jelly, I'm ditching the petty. You're digging for pennies, I'm itching and ready. I open my heart when I listen to Shetty. I'm bold like a boss, but I'm little like Debbie. I know it's a boss, I got richer than Getty. I'm holding the guap and I'm whipping the Yeti, yeah, Kari can play with advanced moves. I'm fucking my girl and her man too. I'm taking the ball like the ran do. My soul is the one that I can't lose. I soak up the sun like a sand dune. I'm holding up love with the bamboo. I'm rolling the blunt by the candle. Taking the game, running it back without taking a drink. Yeah, I'm the one and I'm making a wave. Rolling the blunt and I'm blazing a J. I'm escaping the brain, go straight for the cake. I'ma take to the bank, not taking a break. I'm made for the race, I pray for the day. I wake with a bake in the greatest state.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay, that's Maddie, and it is time for some Sunday football. Week 18 is here already. How wild is that?
Yeah, the end of the regular season. This one feels like it's gone quicker than most. I think it feels like just yesterday that the Cowboys were getting smoked by the Saints to start off the season and tell me that, Matty, this ain't the Cowboys year, basically. That's how I feel about this season. But yeah, guys, week 18, congratulations. You have made it to the end of an NFL season. Just the playoffs to go now. And Jay, to be honest, this week we have a few playoff games, but not really much else. Some teams jostling for just seeding position and some players trying to get their incentives.
Yeah, shout out Kyle Van Noy. I was so cheering for you to get another one, but good luck on that, or good job on that 250. I was hoping you got that $500,000 game. Shout out Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah, definitely. There's a few players going out for incentives today. Important if you're going into a fantasy final to look up those players who've got some incentives to actually play for. Jay, a team that did have something to play for, maybe. Sorry, go on, Jay.
I was just going to say, or if you're in a fantasy battle and you can be shady and grab 3 quarterbacks because Brock Purdy's out. That's all. I know. Okay.
I know. That is such a fucking legit move, though. I remember I did that.
And I cut Russell Wilson because he would have had to be claimed, and then they couldn't claim him because of the game. Yeah.
It's solid work, man. Jay, one team that did have something to play for, but maybe took it a little bit too far, the Ravens versus the Browns. The Ravens get the win, 35 points to 10. It looked like we were good for covering the spread on the Browns for quite a lot of that game, but the Ravens win against the spread. But Jay, why did the Ravens continue to play their full team throughout the second half?
Stupidity. I was messaging by halftime, like, I don't know why these fuckers are still in the game.
Yeah, and I remember the announcer saying, like, the Browns touchdown, he was like, that keeps the Ravens players in for another drive. And I'm like, that's what keeps the Ravens players in for another drive. They're only up, you're only up by 17 points. And the Browns have done nothing all game. They're playing Bailey Zappi at quarterback. Like,
and you and I didn't even know Zappi was a Brown, okay? Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, we didn't realize, totally forgot. The aftermath of that game is Kyle Hamilton played the rest of the game. It's stupid for him to go back out there, though, by the way. Like, Kyle Hamilton's the reason that their defense has started to play much better, right? Everybody's like, oh, yeah, Kyle Hamilton dropping deeper is the reason that their secondary has fixed up in the second half of the season. So why, if the guy is injured early on, do you even think about sending him back out there? But the biggest worry, Jay, is that Zay Flowers had to leave the game. John Harbaugh said after his MRI scan, said the Flowers will have an MRI on the knee tomorrow. That's today. But it's something that he has a chance to be okay with. Something he has a chance to be okay with. That's the wording on that playoff run there. Yeah.
It is going to be such a hit if they don't have Zay Flowers in the playoffs, and especially 100%. And I know he had his little fucking mistakes last year, But have we not watched, even with his mistakes, Zay Flowers gives you 100% every time he's on that field, and he is going to do everything he can to try to help you win. That's a guy you want out there. I mean, he can, cause problems and stress the defense. I don't know. I think it was a bad. And with Bateman playing the way he is, Zay Flowers on the other side, they have a legit offense. It's like maybe you get, and I'm not even trying to be funny, but maybe you get lucky and somebody knocks the Chiefs out and you don't even have to think about playing them. So why are you risking hurting anybody? And they can beat the Chiefs, don't get me wrong, on any given Sunday. But we're in a world where, like, if somebody gets knocked out, you can make your path easier. And instead, you just decided on week 18 to make it harder.
Yeah, it's because they went out and look, they're playing to win the division. They've secured the division. It means that they get a playoff game at home. Great. Like, right thing to do, 100%. Play the first half, and Zay Flowers gets injured just before halftime, as I remember. But as soon as that happens, and you see the Browns playing hard, man, it's not like if the Browns were just rolling over and dying on defense, then fine. But Lamar Jackson takes several hits in that game that could have gone wrong. Derrick Henry gets absolutely smoked on a hit that could have gone wrong. You never know about players just rolling up on ankles, things like that, especially on their defensive side of the ball. They've only just fixed their defense. Maybe it's time to take a few of those players out as well. I was surprised that they kept those players in the game. And as you say, Zay Flowers is a huge miss for them going forward because Rashad Bateman, who was the wide receiver out of Minnesota, Washington, that I really liked when he was coming out of the draft, he's brilliant because Zay Flowers keeps that attention. Bateman is awesome down the field, and if you have to cover Zay Flowers two over the top with a safety over the top and the cornerback taking him, it leaves more room over the top for Rashad Bateman. The reason that Rashad Bateman has been so good is because of Zay Flowers. So, yeah, that could be an issue for them.
There was a run in the third or fourth quarter. Patrick Queen takes a helmet under the chin, lands on his ass, but he popped right back up. But I'm like, that's the kind of shit that could be really, really bad. What if he'd have broke his jaw? He's not playing next week with a broken jaw.
Yeah, there's just some, it was weird. I found it strange. Okay, put the game to bed, but the game was to bed by the fourth quarter, so I was surprised that they kept playing them for the fourth quarter. Jay, only Zay Flowers got hurt though in the end. No one else got hurt. And Zay Flowers is but Zay Flowers' injury was in the first half, so at least that happened for them. But Jay, is the Ravens defense now ready to play playoff football? It was their huge weakness at the start of the season.
I still think it is their weakness. I really do. But that being said, I think they're playing better, right? But I still think it's their big weakness, and they still worry me in the playoffs with that defense, which is really wild to say about the Ravens through the history of the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, in their past 3 games, they kept the Browns to 10 points, they kept the Texans to 2 points on Christmas Day, and they kept the Steelers to 17 points. So it is vastly improved. However, that Steelers game, no, George Pickens was playing in that game, and the secondary is their weak point. So, but I mean, if George Pickens is going to continue to drop the ball like that, then, but George Pickens wasn't in that game for the Steelers. The Texans have just shit the bed towards the end of the season. They're not that good of a football team. I think the Ravens' defensive line is 100% playoff ready. The defensive line looks electric at points. Kyle Van Noy, excellent player. It's that secondary that you worry about.
Can you believe the Lions?
Sorry, go on.
Can you believe the Lions said Kyle Van Noy was washed up and cut him?
Yeah, the Dolphins cut him as well. Early on too. Crazy to me. I found that very surprising. And even if he wasn't as electric as normal, it's still Kyle Van Noy. It's still, you've got that guy in the locker room. So I think that's mad. With the congratulations to Nate Wiggins, rookie cornerback from the Ravens. His first interception also comes out as a pick 6. Jay, just to finish off on the Browns, we'll do a kind of playoff crystal ball before next week, so no need to talk about the Ravens too much going forward. But just to talk about the Browns, obviously their season is over now. Big season for them looking forward. Bailey Zappi playing at quarterback, I thought actually looked okay. Jerry Jeudy dropped the ball two times on him for a third down. So I thought Bailey Zappi looked okay. Jay, who would you have in the Browns QB room for next season? Who do you want in that room?
I think the one solution, if you don't end up with a rookie, right, or even if you do, because you got to carry 3 and you're going to eat Deshaun Watson's money anyway, and we all know he can't play. Kirk Cousins going to be free. Can go back with Kevin Stefanski. He knows the offense. If they don't fire, I don't think they'll fire him either, but if they don't fire him because he's a year removed from being coach of the year, that would be kind of wild. I think you bring in Kirk on that Russell Wilson type deal. He keeps that money down. You got a guy who can actually play, help you eat the last 92 or whatever million you have left that you owe Deshaun Watson. And like I like what you said, Deshaun Watson, let's just go home. We'll pay you and we'll never see you again. Like your 2 years is up. Like we're not even going to deal with it. Just go home. We'll pay you. And you can just even that way, if you don't want to eat it all in 1 year, you got to still keep him a roster spot, but he doesn't have to be there.
Yeah, definitely. So you have to keep Deshaun Watson, so that's one spot gone.
Yeah, because if you cut him, you got that $92 million due at once instead of spread out.
Yeah, exactly. And then
I think they could wait till June 1st and split it into 2 years if they cut him after June 1st.
Yeah, I like whatever it is, you're gonna eat that money. So I think with Deshaun, you may as well just keep him and pay him out. But just say to him, don't be in my quarterback room. We don't want to see you. But here's the money. Go do something else with it. Go buy a car dealership or something. I don't know.
If this was for any other reason, we would all feel bad for Deshaun Watson right now. Like if he'd have missed all that time for an injury or some like family shit or some real life.
Yeah.
But you brought this on yourself, so nobody feels bad for you either, right? Like you did some scumbag shit. So like nobody right now, you don't have any goodwill either. So here's your money, go away. Cleveland fans don't want you.
Yeah. You're the one who held out on the Texans, and the Texans actually look like a pretty decent organization. I know he had his reasons for holding out on the Texans and everything, and I'm convinced that the Texans are the one who linked all of his scumbag shit as well, just by the way. But so you're the one who held out on the Texans, then you're the one who did the scumbag shit that got you suspended, and now you're not playing football anymore. I do think the Browns cemented themselves a top 2 pick in the draft, I believe. With only the Patriots. If the Patriots lose today, the Patriots jump them because of strength of schedule or head-to-head or something.
Yeah, but then if they feel there's a quarterback, right? Because Tom Pelissero is now reporting that some of the teams, and I think this is already starting the draft lies because we come in the lying season, but they're like, there's a handful of teams that don't even have Shadur Sanders as a number 1 or first-round quarterback. Like, come on, man. Come on. Like, Bo Nix just went in the first round. And if Will Levis is a second-round quarterback, then don't fucking tell me even – we can argue where in the first round you think Shador should go, but don't tell me this is an NFL. This is a quarterback-driven league. This is a guy who, if you look at his records, threw for 4,000 yards, a bunch of touchdowns, I think single digits interceptions, like came into a team with no offensive line. Let's stop playing like Shador can't play football.
Yeah, and just a reminder, Kenny Pickett got selected in the first round when he was the top quarterback. So there are no true. Yeah, but Josh Rosen went in a draft with other quarterbacks. Josh Rosen was just bad assessment. But they're saying here, what draft did Josh Rosen go in?
Josh Rosen was the same one, I think, with
Sam Darnold, no?
Sam Darnold and Baker and Joe.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I think.
Yeah. So there's Yeah, exactly. So there's so there were other quarterbacks drafted, but with
It
Kenny
was the
Pickett,
year
it's like,
before Kyler because they drafted Rosen
yeah,
1 year, cut him, Kyler.
yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, so that kind of talk for me is the Giants and the Titans trying to make sure that nobody leapfrogs them with the Patriots. If the Patriots have the number 1 overall pick, it would be very sensible for the Patriots to, well, unless they take Travis Hunter, to trade down, but they could trade down with the fucking Giants, right? As well.
Who was it the other day that was just saying that? Fuck, it was one of the talking heads that kind of caught me off guard. I don't know if it was Tannenbaum or one of those guys who usually talk reasonable, and we're like, they really should make sure they don't want to trade Drake May and draft Shakur. And I was like, okay, look, you as an organization, yes, do your due diligence. You think about that, you go through it, but come on, man, Drake May showed enough where you are not moving on from him right now.
Yeah, Drake May has shown it at the NFL level as well. Like that's the thing. And the problem with the Patriots isn't Drake May. The problem with the Patriots is their entire roster. So they move back, take the picks, all of that kind of stuff. So for me, I think the Browns take whichever rookie quarterback they prefer because it seems like they'll be the ones to be taking the first quarterback off the board unless somebody jumps up with New England. And then I'm for them from seeing Bailey Zappi last night and from seeing Bailey Zappi at the Patriots, I'm going to keep him, play him just so he gets absolutely smoked. And then my rookie can come in at the end of the season to take over because I don't want a Kirk. I don't want a Joe Flacco. I don't want that pressure on the rookie quarterback. But it sounds like, especially with this rookie quarterback class, they're a sit and then start a year later deal. Like lots of potential, but sit and start a year later.
And depending who you get, maybe you want to sit that young quarterback for 2 years. That's why I thought Kirk would be the guy.
Yeah, Kirk, yeah.
And he can run Stefanski's offense. And for once in Kirk's life, he doesn't have to relearn a new offense. Like only two times, think about this, only 2 times in Kirk's NFL career has he had the same offensive coordinator back-to-back years. And that was Kevin Stefanski for 2 years and Kevin O'Connell for 2 years. Other than that, his whole career has never had the same offensive coordinator 2 years in a row.
Yeah, Joe Flacco as well might be a quarterback to come in there.
Well,
obviously, he's played.
I'm glad you brought that up. As we were sitting here speaking, Joe Flacco is still on the waiver wire, and I have Jaden Daniels on my bench, who I just cut because you can't claim him till tomorrow, and picked up Joe Flacco. So now I remove 5 quarterbacks from.
That's just because it's a money league. This is okay. By the way, everyone, this isn't just playing for like.
I would do it in our league if it wasn't our league. It's shady for me and you to do it. Like we can't run a league and then do some shit like that. But if I'm in a league, it's different.
Jay, the Steelers went up against the Bengals. Oh, sorry.
I almost forgot this, by the way, Maddie. And speaking of it, speaking of some fantasy football. I tried to make it just long enough so it was uncomfortable. Did that work?
Yeah, that was uncomfortable. Yeah.
Okay, I tried to make it long. I said 15 seconds is probably uncomfortably long, so I did 15 seconds.
I was like, the only way that could have been more uncomfortable if I was on the screen at the same time. That would have been rough.
Oh yeah, I should have ran that.
But yeah, thank you very much.
Again.
Appreciate that. I'll be playing that before the draft next year.
We got to get you. We got to get you one of those little trophies where you can put the years in it, and we just start knocking years on the fantasy football trophy for you.
Sounds great. If I 3P, I'm going to buy myself a big chain with Y and B like written on it, just the way.
The victory chain. I like it. The
victory chain. Only for a 3P. Okay. Jay, the Steelers went up against the Bengals, and the Bengals came out as winners, keeping their playoff hopes alive. Jay, was this win actually harmful for the Bengals in the long run?
No, I don't know. They still need help to get in the playoffs, right? So Um, if I'm the Bengals, I mean, if I'm any other team, I'm kind of hoping the Bengals don't make the playoffs because Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Now, did they ever say exactly how injured T. Higgins is, though? I wonder if that becomes a huge problem. I hope he's not, but he was out of the game at the end of the game, and T. Higgins is such a baller. And I fucking thought that the Steelers did a really good job. Okay, we're going to put our number one on T. Higgins. We're going to double Jamar Chase in theory, and still didn't stop them.
Yeah, I think the theory behind the Steelers was good. I just don't think that secondary players are good enough. The Steelers currently have a secondary that can't cover and can't tackle. Like that's the legitimate concern. For that once T. Higgins went and you can triple coverage Jamar Chase, then they were fine. But
Right.
I think the biggest problem there was the Steelers. Like if you look at the Steelers' past few games, like they can't cover anyone. They can't cover and they can't tackle. So yeah.
Go ahead. I just thought of something I'll add at the end.
Yeah, Joe Burrow was basically in the first half of that game. Joe Burrow was basically getting 10-yard checkdowns. Like he was just checking the ball down for 10 yards every time. Like they were so concerned with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase on the back end. They just left Gesicki free range, 10 yards. There's a first down every time, pitch and catch. The only time they stopped them was when they got to the red zone, which huge stop. Steelers D-line can then take over in a red zone system. Their D-line and linebackers are brilliant. So in the red zone, they can take over, hold them to field goals. The other time was when if they get an early run stop, then they can blitz and take them on. That's the only time they were able to stop them.
Are you also worried about the Steelers when it comes to the fact that Russell Wilson cannot complete a pass over the middle of the field?
Yeah, I think Russell Wilson hasn't been able to complete many passes over the middle of the field his entire career. Like it's never been his.
I don't know, man. If you watch him in Seattle, he used to chunk people, spin around middle of the field, 40 yards, like. And I swear Russell can't buy a fucking completion in the middle of the field.
But I think that's it, isn't it? It's chunk people 40 yards down the field. It's not 10 yards down the field where they can put the hands and knock it down. It's 40 yards down the field with Seattle. That was always big boom plays. And the linebackers had to come down to deal with that Seattle run game. With Najee Harris actually had a very good game, I thought. But if you're a linebacker with Najee, you can drop and come forward to stop him for 5 yards because he's never going to hit that break and just completely gas you. So you have the time to check the pass first and then come down and play the run. Whereas with faster running backs, you have to make that decision in a split second whether you're going to come play the run or you're going to play the pass. And because they can sit on the pass, it means that Russ can't get anything over the middle. But my biggest worry for the Steelers, Jay, for me, that was the Steelers gave that game away to me with how the Bengals played in the second half. I think the Steelers gave that game away. I think their secondary was appalling. I think some of their play calling in the first half was not good. They were chunking 5 yards a run the whole time that they were going down there. Why were them flicking it out? And George Pickens dropped the ball 4 times. Like 4 drops and a missed tracking ball as well. That would have finished the game. And then Pat Freiermuth drops it as well, which would have been well in field goal range as well. For me, the Steelers have got sloppy to finish off this season.
Yeah, Najee Harris, I just looked it up because he's on one of my fantasy teams, and he got over 15 points yesterday.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He had a great game. He just doesn't open up. Najee Harris can play plays a great game, but he doesn't open up the pass game for you like other running backs do.
No, I was you said at the beginning he had a pretty good game, and I'm like, I wonder how good, like, fantasy-wise,
how good a game it was. Najee Harris is having a sneaky good season. He looked like he was going the way of Zeke Elliott at the beginning of the year, like
He's
just
so
completely slowed
ridiculously
down.
slow, but he is so good at what he does. It is so weird.
His feet are actually very fast. He just like I don't understand why Najee Harris is so slow. He can move his feet very quickly in a small box space. Some of his jukes were very, very impressive. Um, Jay, are you surprised with how sloppy the end of the season has been for the Steelers? Because to be fair to the Steelers, they've lost 4 games against 4 winning teams, but they were sloppy in quite a few of those games. How are you surprised by that?
No, because they've been such a weird team all year. They don't, and it's been some years before it's been years since they were a team that can get ahead and just put teams away. That's not how the Steelers play. It's going to make it very rough for them in the playoffs. And it does make me question what they do at the quarterback position moving forward.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it looked again, didn't it? It looked like, oh, the Steelers are a quarterback away. But I think in that particular game, I think Russ's receivers didn't help him too much. And there were some big drops. Like if Pat Freiermuth catches that over the middle to finish the game, then that's the end of the game. They've sent the Bengals home. They've sent the Bengals home packing. They've secured the 6th seed, I think. But Pat Freiermuth drops it, which is a surprise for Pat Freiermuth because he's a very safe pair of hands.
Yeah, he dropped one at the end too, but that's because Russell decided to throw a 300-mile-an-hour fastball on 4th down. I'm like, what are you doing?
It is always strange to decide whether whether a drop is on the receiver or whether it's on the quarterback. I think Freiermuth got both his hands to it. I'm surprised that he dropped that ball, to be honest, to finish off the game.
Yeah, but you throw it like 300 miles an hour when the guy doesn't have his head around. It's like, come on, like there's timing to these routes, Russ, and you know it. And I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to quickly finish on this, but worried about George Pickens just as a wide receiver in general. Does he give he's a bit of a weird wide receiver? Just
so it's funny
4
you say
drops.
that. I was thinking about it last night, and as I was watching him, I really went to myself. He would be the best number 2 you could have on your team, but I don't want him as my number 1 receiver.
He's a little temperamental for number 1 in both his personality and his playing ability. I would say he's temperamental on both sides because sometimes he makes these crazy catches and then he drops like these easy balls. Or in the case of last night, he was trying to make easy catches into amazing catches. There was one where he's tracking the ball down the field and he just completely mistracks it and has to try and do a circus catch. It was like, do you remember where within a week of each other, JJ made a ridiculous circus catch, and then George Pickens makes a ridiculous circus catch the next week? I think it was last season, 2 seasons ago. And the difference in those was JJ had to do that, and Pickens didn't have to do that. Pickens just mistracked the ball. So
he did.
George Pickens gets a bit weird for me.
Russell threw a rainbow on the sideline, and Pickens looks one way. And then right before the ball gets there, he tries to spin around and catch it the other way and misses the ball. And I'm like, they're like, Russ overthrew him. And I'm thinking, did anybody just see Pickett do a pirouette in the middle of the fucking field trying to catch the ball? That was weird.
Yeah. It's like it would have been a hard catch for him to make if he was going the right way, but he made it that much harder that it became impossible.
Yeah, and then he misses it, so it became impossible because of the way he did it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly. And George Pickens is weird. If he's your second wide receiver, if George Pickens is your second wide receiver, by the way, that would be ridiculous. Like it would, just because of how talented he is, you know,
Mike Williams,
that would be crazy for your team.
Sick, ridiculous rocket, 2 feet in, laid it down. That was a rocket, Mike Williams. That was sick.
Mike Williams has been really good since he got to the Steelers. If Aaron Rodgers didn't force him out, it would currently be the Jets would currently have going into next season. Well, maybe going into next season, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, and Mike Williams is their wide receiver 3, which would be crazy. But because they don't, the Steelers benefit from him. And we'll see how they both do in the playoffs.
Vrabel just interviewed for the Jets job.
Yeah, I think right move. But if Vrabel's there, I'm not sure Aaron Rodgers
I think if
stays.
Rabel's there, that's a better chance Aaron Rodgers is there.
Hmm.
Veteran quarterback,
Okay.
older guy, that
Yep.
kind of thing,
Maybe.
But Rodgers seems to me to want to play again, but not with the Jets, but he wants the Jets to cut him. Like, he doesn't want to come out and say it. It seems like he's like fucking trying to get them passive aggressively to cut him.
Yeah, it's why I don't fancy the Jets in their game today, to be honest. Rodgers throws for 5 picks. He gets his 500th touchdown, makes sure he secures that, and then throws for 5 picks.
I feel like with Aaron
Rodgers,
Rodgers, it's the type of game where he's like, all right, fuck you, watch this, the next team who gets me, and then throws for 5 touchdowns. That's like the most Aaron Rodgers. Like, as soon as they talk shit about him, he's like, hold my beer, I'm going to win back-to-back MVPs.
Very, very Aaron Rodgers. Okay, going in now to our NFL Week 18 predictions, guys. This is where we go through every single game. We give you the betting lines for each game. I said on our Saturday morning. God, I don't know. I don't know what morning it was. But since we did that show, I did say, guys, maybe this week not the best for betting because you have no idea who's playing. There's some crazy spreads in this one. But guys, good luck with your betting, and I hope we help out on some of these. If we do, and you win money because of us, you owe us a like, subscribe, follow, and a share of this video, most importantly, and comment if we helped you out as well.
Hey, that's a better deal than I thought you were going with. I'd be like, you owe us 10% or something. So
cut us in. Go find someone to run ads on our videos. That's the number one. Okay, Jay. We've got the Buccaneers going up against the New Orleans Saints. The Buccaneers are 14.5-point favorites. If the Bucs win, they are in this game. Jay, can the Bucs take the next step to make it to the playoffs?
Yeah, they're gonna win this game, but that point spread is fucking ridiculous. Like, and the problem is that I don't know who to pick because the Saints are so injured.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me in this one, but having seen the Buccaneers offense in recent games, and I think the fact that it means so much to them, I'm happy taking the Bucs of 14.5 in this game.
I have to also,
injuries.
but I don't like it, but I have to also. But that's such a huge point spread, and I just like so the Saints. You would think have probably went 1-2-3 Cancun, but then you also in Week 18 have these teams who are like, all right, it's our last game of the year. One more, let's give it all we got and play spoiler. And the Saints would love nothing more than to stick it to the fucking Bucs. And so it makes
if they stick it to the Bucs, who do they hate more, the Bucs or the Falcons? That's the
right. And then your guy, your favorite coach in the whole world, Rizzy, he'll keep his job. I don't know. I give me the Bucs and minus the points, but it's one of those weird things where a team wants to come in and play spoiler to a division rival. And
yeah, I just think even if the Saints were playing hard in this game 100%, then they would still lose by at least 10. It's just Bucky Irving is such a machine. Baker Mayfield is having a sneaky MVP style season. Mike Evans is a dominant force.
As a guy who's got a team in the playoffs, I'd rather see the Falcons make the playoffs than the Bucs, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. The Saints are picking around 10 at the moment in the draft as well, so that can make some decisions. But I do think Rizzy might have an effect on this game, not because of his amazing coaching skill, but because he seems to be liked, and people might say, "Oh, one more, let's try and get Rizzy this job and see what happens." Jay, can the Saints be happy with their season at the end of this season?
No.
Was it?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either, because they remain in cap hell. The problem is, so with these other teams, they played some hard games, but overall just didn't have the talent. But they've got plenty of money and draft capital going forward. The Saints don't have the draft capital, and they don't have the money to do anything. This is likely going to be their team next season as well.
And it's so weird because Sean Payton left them in cap hell 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, it's insane
And they
how
haven't
they
fixed
remain in. Yeah, they remain in continuous cap hell.
And I watched Kawasi fix a cap problem in one season. I mean, so you can do it. I don't understand why GMs don't fix their cap problem, especially nobody thought the Saints the last 2 years were going to win the Super Bowl.
Exactly. That's the problem there, isn't it? They've convinced themselves that they've got a good team. It's like, why is Derek Carr on their roster? Like, there's no need for Derek Carr to be on your roster. You never had a good enough team to make use of Derek Carr, so why aren't you £2 million, £3 million quarterbacking? Like, what are you doing there? Why have they done that? They just constantly make terrible decisions with their money. Just give up the ghost guys, get into Saints fans. It's going to be rough next season, I think, as well, because I think this might be the season where they say, okay, let's get ourselves out of cap hell and make themselves a better coaching destination for the year after. Maybe they won't take their coach that they actually want this year.
It won't be in New Orleans, but I think Derek Carr will end up being one of the, if not the best backup in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely. It would be an amazing backup. Jay, the Green Bay Packers are 9.5-point favorites against the Chicago Bears. Jay, in this game, will the Packers have one eye on the Commanders versus the Cowboys game to see if they should just rest their players by the fourth quarter if the Commanders are blowing out the Cowboys?
They probably should, but I don't think that's the type of team the Packers are. I think they're just going to, as Chuck Pagano said, put the blinders on and just keep going. Just keep going and try to win that game. Not the worst idea because you need that for seeding anyway, so you might as well just focus in on your game and go. As a coach, it's hard to start thinking opposite ways. And sure, if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, the Commanders have it in the bag, then maybe you just start pulling guys at the end of the game. But you're going to see them going for this win. Maybe one of the ideas is, can we get up ahead enough to sit our guys at the end of the game?
Yeah, definitely. That's what I would be going for as well. I think the Packers are going to play this game hard to the finish. They are going for 6th seed right here. The two teams that could finish 12-5 at the end of the season. They're currently 11-5, the Commanders and the Packers, and they're going for the 6th seed. That's what they're fighting over right now. The positioning of the 6th and the 7th seed.
Do you think this season makes the owners and Roger Goodell rethink the playoff format and reshuffle seeding at the end of the season instead of home teams with 9 wins or division winners with 9 wins getting home games? This is something that's been brought up before and they've said no, but now you're going to have a 14-win team and probably a 12-win team going on the road in the playoffs.
A 14-win team and by the odds 2 12-win teams going on the road for the playoffs.
Yeah.
No, because I think if they didn't do it the year where the NFC East sent someone with a losing record to get a home game in the Commanders played against the Buccaneers. The Commanders had a losing record in the playoffs. If they didn't do it after that, then I don't think they'll do it again.
Well, this is the 3rd time, so I wonder if it happens because there was a year too where the Vikings and the Rams both hosted a playoff game at 8-8 and they both won.
It was the Commanders actually played the Bucs really hard. It was with Taylor Heineke as well, and they only lost a 1-score game, I think. So I don't know. I don't think that
it's a whole nother podcast because I'm torn if I think it's a good idea or not. I go both ways.
Yeah, that's definitely a whole nother podcast. Jay, with how the Bears have been playing towards the end of the season, is it really worth them playing their full team?
Yeah, absolutely. Get Caleb some more reps, and I think the Packers will win. I think the Packers will cover the spread, but I think the Bears are going to make it hard on them all day.
Yeah, I think I saw a nutty tweet saying they should sit Caleb Williams because they've already broken him, so give him that timeout. No. If you sit him last game of the season, it's too late to make that call, like the Bryce Young call, right? It's too late if that's what you're going to do, to sit him and bring him back in, because otherwise he has to sit and stew on that all off season. It makes no sense. So play him, get more reps. This is a division rival that he's going to have to play again and again and again. So let him see their defense and their defensive players as well. Jay, I agree with you on this one. I think the Packers are going to cover the spread for this, but I think they might cover the spread going into the fourth quarter. Is where they might pull away. I think the Bears will still make it relatively difficult. Jay, the Eagles are 2.5-point favorites against the Giants. The Eagles are resting basically all of their players, including a player who said he's not happy with it, but now says he's made peace with it and comes to terms with it, which making peace with something and being happy about it are two very separate things.
I was just going to say, making peace with it is him saying, I'm still not happy, but I'm just going to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I'm going to shut the fuck up because I actually have the opportunity to go deep in the playoffs with this team. So, but still not happy. I think if they lose in the divisional round of the playoffs, like things could get tasty in Philadelphia just with
nobody's firing a 13-win coach, by the way. Nobody.
Not saying firing. Not saying firing. I just think a lot of arguments. Jay, the Eagles are 2.5-point favorites in this one. That's largely down to the Eagles resting most of their players. Jay, are the Eagles right to be resting most of their players?
Yeah, they should. Well, no, what if it wasn't for Saquon? Yes, but I honestly think we went through this just the other day. I think you go in there in the first half against the Giants, and you look at your guys and go, look, I'm giving you one half. Go try to get this record, and then that's fair, I think. And then you go after it. But minus the Saquon thing, yes, you rest everybody. So if you're not going after the record, then you obviously rest everybody because you can't get the bye or anything like that. Your seeding's locked in. Just go and be ready for the playoffs. Yeah,
the last time they played each other in this game earlier in the season, Saquon Barkley ran for 176 yards off only 17 carries. So you would think they could get him those 17 carries in the first half. If you take the emotion out of it and the fact that human emotion exists and all of that, then they are definitely making the right business decision to sit Saquon Barkley as well. They're making the right decision to sit everyone, in my opinion. But obviously with human emotion, give him the first half to show that you support him. And especially since he offered to sit in multiple games so the young guys could get their reps as well, like multiple games throughout the year. So he could have gone and got this record already. And you didn't tell him you were going to sit him. So I think they're right to rest him. Business decision, human element.
I think it's right if you're thinking of normal times, but where it doesn't become right is now you have a chance to be a legend and have your name etched into the NFL and that kind of thing. So,
yeah, definitely. Jay, does last week's Giants win give them the confidence to go win this game? Do you think they'll get a win in this one at 2.5 points?
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles, even with all of their backups, minus the 2.5. But I hate this bet because it's a really shitty team playing against backups, so nobody knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the really shitty team beat the Colts, with the Colts actually playing with their playoff life on the line the week before. So it's an interesting game. I'm going to take the Giants, and yeah, it is the Colts with Anthony Richardson. I'm taking the Giants in this one at plus 2.5 because I think they're stupid enough of a franchise to go out and win this game. Like, they are dumb enough to win this game. It makes more sense for the Eagles in the long term to lose this game and make sure the Giants get an even worse pick. I know they're not playing that meta or anything like that, but I just think the Giants are stupid enough to go ahead and win. And Malik Neighbors playing against backup secondary is going to be like, he's going to torch people. And Drew Lock can throw to wide open receivers. He can do that.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah,
Drew Luck is not great either. He just has moments. But that's because everybody in this league has talent. So, yes, they're going to have moments, but can they consistently do it, right? Because everybody in the NFL is the best of the best when it comes to this sport. So, yes, they're going to have moments, but it's that, sustained every time. And I don't know. We'll see with Drew Lock.
Drew Lock has backup quarterback written all over him as we go forward as well.
Wasn't Drew Lock a first-round pick too?
Yeah, Drew Lock was a first-round pick. I remember Jerry Jones was talking about trading up for him. I think as well, which was insane.
Yeah, but Shadur Sanders, not a first-round pick. Right. Fuck. Okay.
Jay, the New England Patriots are going up against the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 3.5-point favorites. Jay, we've spoken about one backup quarterback starting. We have another backup quarterback starting for the Bills. With Mitch Trubisky playing in this game, what are the benefits of playing a backup quarterback outside of injuries?
I mean, maybe to get him some reps, but Trubisky's had a ton of reps in the league, so I don't know. I get why they're sitting him, and that I have no problem with it, but I don't know how much of a benefit there is to it, and the fact that they're resting their starters. And did they announce if Drake May is playing yet? Do you know? I can look that up right now, though.
No, I'm not sure. For the benefits, I think there are two benefits in starting a backup quarterback. There's the benefit of reps, which I think are important. Like we saw it with Chad Henne. So Patrick Mahomes had to go off for a quarter in a playoff game. Chad Henne, who'd played their Week 18 game, came on the field and looked comfortable, had already been in that situation before. They ran the same route to get a third down as they actually ran in the Week 18 game once Chad Henne came on. So I do think the reps are important. I think the other benefit of doing this is if you have your backup quarterback playing with your backup wide receivers, they actually have more of a connection than the starting quarterback and the backup wide receivers, because they're the ones who throw to each other the whole time, like on the practice squad and those kind of things as well. So I think there is that benefit too if you're actually going to go out and try and win the game. I like Mitch Trubisky as a backup quarterback for Josh Allen as well. I think that suits him relatively well. Mitch Trubisky has a playoff win, as a reminder. But I think their style of play, he's Josh Allen style of play, just nowhere near as good as Josh Allen is doing it.
Well, Drake May is active, so fantasy has him set up to play. So with that said,
Crazy.
I think the Patriots, if not win, cover that 3.5. So give me the Patriots plus the 3.5 in that game against the Bills backups.
Yeah, definitely. With Drake May starting, give me the Patriots in this game as well. I think the Patriots have had a great season in terms of building stuff. I think they just have a serious lack of talent. Jay, should the Patriots be excited going into next season?
The Patriots should absolutely try to lose this game.
Yeah,
100%. I think Gerard Mayo's feeling the hot seat, though, and really feels like he needs to win it. I do not know if the Crafts are going to move on from him, but I said it the other day. There is something rotten inside the organization, and I think they need to clear it out and start over and get away from this Bill Belichick type, as you were saying, the Patriot way, right? You need to start it over and hit reset. You got talent on that team. You could have the first overall pick. It seems like a great moment to reset this, but I don't know if Robert Kraft will do that a year into Gerard Mayo's coaching tenure.
Yeah, I think, especially if you have the first overall pick in the draft, the amount of picks, it's not the actual first overall trade in the draft that they want. It's the amount of picks that they can grab going backwards. The Patriots have been poor on personnel for a while, but was that just Bill Belichick being poor on personnel? We'll see. Hopefully they'll get their draft strategy right. If I'm a Patriots fan, I'm excited going into next season. They might be one of the most exciting 3-win teams that one of the most reasons to be excited out of any 3-win team that I've seen in quite some time. Jay, the Falcons are 7.5-point favorites against the Carolina Panthers. Jay, are you expecting the Panthers to roll over in this game?
No, not at all. I think the Panthers are kind of feeling themselves, as odd as that sounds, because of the way last season went and the season started. And Bryce Young seems to be figuring out the NFL. Doesn't look like it was such a bust draft pick. Maybe it had a lot to do with Frank Reich and those guys, even though somebody said that last year, but we won't. I said they should fire Frank Reich as soon as they hired him, if you remember. So I was like, fuck that. But I think the Panthers are one of those teams that they're feeling it, and they got one game left, and they want to leave the season on a good feeling, right? They want to go into next year feeling good. I think they're going to come out. I think they're going to give it everything they got. I could see the Panthers going for it on 5 4th downs. I could see the Panthers fucking trick play, fake field goal, anything pulled out to try to get this win at the end of the year and crush the dreams of one of your divisional rivals, right? Like, I think people underestimate how bad these players really do not like not the players. They don't like the rival uniform. Yeah. They're looking at people think it's the Packers and the Bears. It has not been the Packers and the Bears in years. The Packers and the Vikings fucking hate each other. The Packers and the Lions fucking hate each other, right? Like, the Lions and the Vikings fucking hate each other. Nobody cares about the Bears right now. They're like, oh, you're cute. Sit over there. But you get it. Like, Eagles.
The Cowboys and the Eagles.
Cowboys and the Redskins. Yeah. How happy would they be to just stop the Redskins even from getting to the playoffs?
Do you know what? Weirdly, with the Commanders, barely even see them as a rival anymore. The Giants barely even see them as a rival anymore.
I'm saying if you're the Cowboys and you can they can get in the playoffs, the Cowboys want to do everything they can to make sure the Redskins can't make the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. But ours is, it's just on what you're saying there. Like, it's how you're saying it's not the Vikings and the Bears, it's not the Packers and the Bears anymore. It's the Cowboys and the Eagles first, and then we kind of don't like a couple of other teams. But like,
you better start worrying about those Commanders. You better start worrying about those Commanders.
Yeah, no, I'm sure next season, if Jaden Daniels isn't my fantasy quarterback, then I'm sure I'll find a way to dislike Jaden Daniels going into next season. Jay, the other part of that is because I agree with you. I think the Panthers are going to come into this game and fight for every down. Have the Falcons had a good season this year? Like, have they actually had a good season, or are they just, was the hype too much to start the year? Like, what do we think of that?
Sorry, we're getting some spam. Ask that again.
You're deleting some spam, Jay. I've just seen. Look at that. Look at this guy doing you all a favor. Don't click on spam, guys.
All right. What was the question again? Sorry, I was spamming it.
Have the Falcons actually had a good season?
No.
Yeah, I think with the Falcons, it's crazy.
It's been a dumpster fire because it's been one issue after another. They are like, when you got that girlfriend that no matter what happens in life, you can't make them happy. And no matter what you try to do, like, it's always something. That's what it feels like Atlanta is this year. The girlfriend no matter what you do, it's always something.
I mean, I don't have that. I've never had that, but I have friends who have that.
Okay, I didn't know. You can say you never had that. That doesn't mean you didn't have it right. I didn't say you had it right now. Like, I'm good. I've been married for 23 years. I'm good. But there's that.
Just making sure, Jay. Just making sure. Sometimes she's listening. She is just in the next room. So I just want to make sure that
Maddie fucking hates you. No, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I think they've also killed all the hype they had coming into the season. This is the first time in a long time that the Falcons have had ridiculous amounts of hype coming into a season, and they completely killed that, like, going forward. So with that, Jay, I think I know how you're picking by the sounds of it going into this one. I'm taking the Panthers in this one, Jay. Who have you got?
Yeah, give me the Panthers minus the 7.5 because I still think Atlanta probably wins, but I think the Panthers are going to give them everything they got. And we still, as much as we can project and think, we don't know what Michael Penix is.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're right with the Panthers coming out there feeling themselves. And I think with Bryce Young's vast improvement is pretty impressive. I've seen a lot of stuff recently about Bryce Young being a dark horse fantasy pick for next year. We'll see how the Panthers kind of wide receiver room picks up going forward. In our league, Bryce Young will definitely have to be someone starting QB in fantasy next year with 14
at least
teams,
if
or
you
their
could
second.
anytime you can put a running quarterback on your bench and see what happens, that's not a worst idea either.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Jay, the Cowboys are going up against the Commanders. The Commanders are 7-point favorites in this game. Jay, will the Commanders be keen to put this game away early so they can get Jaden Daniels on the bench?
I mean, if they can, it's the perfect world, but I don't know if they have the defense to do it. But I do give me the Commanders minus the points, because they got everything to play for and the Cowboys have nothing to play for. So I think sometimes that goes into the psyche. Also, there's different teams, like we were just talking about the Panthers feeling themselves. That's because they have a bad team who hasn't used to winning. You're talking about a team who's used to winning in the Cowboys who didn't win. I think it's a completely different way to carry it into the last game. I think a lot of these guys just want this game to be over. They want their exit interview over on Monday or Tuesday, and they just want this season to be fucking over, and they all want to go to Cancun. Can't go to Cancun. They all want to be on the beach.
I think the Cowboys were feeling pretty good because everything had got back on track. It looked like we might be heading towards kind of like a just under 500 season, and that could still happen. Like 8 and 9, I think, would be a good finish with where the Cowboys started. But that beat down from the Eagles, that was it for me. That was like, okay, season over. Like that's it. Like going forward, just. It was a stark reminder as to how far away the Cowboys are with their current defensive problems in a matchup. And do you know who matches up in the same way as the Eagles do, just with a worse defense? The Commanders. Running quarterback, even better running quarterback, power back in the running back room, decent O-line, which the fucking Tyler Biadasz has been an absolute revelation at center for them. He couldn't do that for us at center, but he's been awesome at center for the Commanders. But I don't think this is a good matchup for them.
I wouldn't have been mad at the Cowboys if they'd have shut Micah down for this game either, or a couple guys.
Yeah,
I'm not going to risk you for next year over some shit that doesn't matter.
I'm surprised that Mike is playing. Deron Bland is playing. I'm surprised that those two are playing just with the injuries that they suffered at the start of the season as well. But I do think the Cowboys are one of those teams that do go out for the win and they do play everyone hard. Like the reason why I think that they'll try and sit Jaden Daniels early is if you watch the Cowboys in that Buccaneers game, they fucking hit you hard. Like on defense, they're just outmatched a D tackle and a linebacker in terms of size. But if they fucking get to you, they have players that'll run around and will smoke you and hit you ridiculously hard. So I think they'll play hard. I don't think they're going to roll over and die. I just don't think they're necessarily as good, and that's where we're at.
I don't think players come in and go, I'm not going to play hard. I think they come in thinking they're going to, but what happens is your mind's already on this vacation you're going to start in 10 days, right?
You've already booked your flight. Once you've already booked you know how it is when you go into work. Once you've booked your flight, like you find the next week very hard to get those emails done in time and all of that kind of stuff. Jay, would the Commanders rather play the Eagles in Philadelphia or the Rams in LA?
They did beat the Eagles, but I'd rather play the Rams personally, and both teams are good, and it's like not like there's a wonderful choice, but I'd still rather play the Rams because the Eagles have Saquon, because you can say, okay, wash the receiver rooms. And sure, Matt Stafford's probably better than Jalen, but Jalen can play. It's that defense. I would rather face the Rams defense, even though they're pretty good, than face that Eagles defense.
I think I agree with you. The other thing with the Rams, I'm just thinking because that's in their hands.
The fans in LA are going to be way easier on you.
Well, it's not even that. It's because it's such a new organization. Well, the LA Rams, an old organization, a new organization. They allow so many away fans get into that stadium every time. It often turns into a home game. Like I'd say the stadium with the least home field advantage for both teams that play there is SoFi Stadium. Like it's pretty impressive how many away fans are there because there's so many away fans already in LA is the other part of that as well. It's almost like the Rams are everybody in LA's second team, or the Chargers are the second team, right? But then they have their true team that they supported growing up. So I would pick the Rams there as well. Jay, what can the Cowboys take from this season going into next season?
Thank God it's over. They just had injury after injury. And once you lose Dak, it's like, okay, forget it. Move on. Like next season.
Yeah, I think, thank God it's over. They've actually got out the season relatively unscathed in terms of injuries falling over into next year. Like all of their injuries should be sorted by next year.
You know what they can take into this season, off season, seriously? Jerry Jones needs to do a deep look at himself and go, I got to quit worrying about headlines and start worrying about getting fucking split pieces on this team.
Yeah, it's Jerry Jones should say, oh shit, we got 6 or 7 wins. However many wins it is, we got this many wins with basically our third string team. Like we can do this. I need to sort myself out. Like I need to look ahead and I need to go forward doing this as well. And I think the other thing to take out of this is Mike McCarthy can coach. I'm not sure whether Mike Zimmer can. That's the decision that they've got to take in this one as well. Okay, both of us taking the Commanders at 7 points in the spread there. Jay, the Titans are 2.5 point favorites against the Texans. The reason for that, Jay, is pretty strange. So Mark Ryan has come out and said that the Texans are playing CJ Stroud and their starters, but everybody then thinks that the Texans will take everybody off pretty early on. The reason that I think the Texans are going to play their starters for pretty much the whole game, Jay, is they only scored 2 points the last time they played. They need to get something going. They need to get something started in Houston. Otherwise, there's no point in making it to the playoffs. So I think they'll play everybody all the way through. But Jay, the first thing and the thing making headlines that I really wanted to talk about is who should wear the Oilers uniform? The Titans are going to be wearing the Oilers uniform going to Houston.
I have the solution to this, but if you just want to pick one team, it's definitely Tennessee because they left as the Oilers and moved to Tennessee. So I get that. And I know people are like Houston Texans where the Houston Oilers played, but it's not the same team. And the only time we've seen that split was when the Ravens left. The NFL said Cleveland keeps the history. The team moves to Baltimore. They did not do that with the Oilers. So the history moved. My solution is you both wear Oilers uniforms. One wears the home, one wears the away, and go attack that in the playoffs and honor the old Oilers and Warren Moon. But you both wear them.
Yeah, I think it's such a strange, like, it's so strange. It's also such a strange and like fucked up decision. And the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans must hate each other much more than I realized.
Third time in a row that Titans have done this to the Texans.
Yeah, they must hate each other much more than I realized. I didn't realize there was that much hate in the AFC South. Like, you know, like the NFC North, I know those teams hate each other. The NFC East, I know those teams hate each other. The AFC North, I know those teams hate each other. The AFC South, the Texans, Titans, Jaguars, and the Colts. What? I didn't know they had that much hate for each other. So, yeah, pretty impressive. I like that solution. Good solution. Jay, do you think the Texans are going to rest their players in this game? It's important with the picks.
I don't know. I went back and forth because I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm just going to bank on the starter starting and go from there. So I'm taking the Texans plus the 2.5.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, for me, I'm taking the Texans plus the 2.5 as well. I think they're gonna play their players in this game, and I think if they play their players, then they should be the favorites in this game. I also think it's another game that makes no sense for the Tennessee Titans to win. There's no reason for them to win this game. Like, I understand that you win the game because you're NFL players and your NFL coaches. Like, I get it. But actually, Brian Callahan will be there next year. They've just given him a contract. He will be there next year. So it's actually much better for him to lose, which is maybe why he's umming and ahhing about who he's going to play at quarterback. It looks like they're going to play a 2-quarterback game, is the kind of reports going out, Jay. Jay, what are the Titans going to do with Will Levis?
You got to move on at some point, but you got to find his replacement.
Yeah, for me, I think Will Levis actually gives them the best opportunity to win games. Currently, in their current situation in the NFL, Will Levis gives them a better opportunity to win than Mason Rudolph. He also gives them the best opportunity to lose games, is the biggest problem with Will Levis. As well, he's kind of a Jameis Winston quarterback. Like I would have him as a backup for another team because on his day, he's a starting quarterback talent, but how often is his day is the problem with Will Levis. So yeah, I don't know what they do there with him. I think it's time for them to move on, draft your quarterback in the next draft. They have the opportunity, Jay, to be second or first in the NFL draft, depending on how games go for them in this draft.
Yeah. Tennessee's in a spot where they're just garbage and have to figure it out.
Yeah, and they really should lose this game. Jay, a game that really doesn't matter to anybody, like two teams that are totally out. The Colts are 3.5-point favorites against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jay, should the Colts be worried going forward about Richardson's injury issues? Missed 13 games last season, missed a couple of games to injury now in this season as well.
Yeah, they should be worried. Also, it's been pointed out that people didn't realize the year before Anthony Richardson took himself out of games for being tired too. This wasn't a new thing this year. We have found out. Anthony Richardson, it was first reported that he's not playing because of back soreness, and now they're all of a sudden like, oh, it's
back
spasms. Yeah, if it's just back soreness, he's soft as Charmin, and he's not an NFL player because you had a chance for the playoffs and you sat. Joey Flacco's playing today. Yeah, I think they have an injury problem with Richardson. I think they have I don't want to say maturity. I think he wasn't taught the right way to do things, and I think they have a problem with that. And I think the Colts either got to figure it out or they got to get rid of him after next year. You can't keep doing this. You can't put yourself in a 7-year rebuild for a guy when you're trying to rebuild. I think they have a lot of fucking issues coming forward. And on the other side, I think the Jags need a new coach or they're fucked too. So both teams got a lot of soul searching to do in the offseason. With all that said, though, just because I like the way that Brian Thomas has been playing and I like the way Mac Jones has been playing as a backup on that team, I'm going to take the Jags and the points in this game.
Yeah, Jay, I've also got the Jags and the points in this game. I think the Jags actually have a relatively talented roster. And then with Trevor Lawrence coming back and hopefully a new coach next year, and the Colts are in a very same thing with like the two places that just need to figure out coaches.
Yeah, the problem is though is the Jags have fit. Coaching questions. The Colts have quarterback, and I hate the word maturity because he seems like a great kid, but they have quarterback mentality issues.
Yeah, and he's injury prone. You can't have an injury prone quarterback. The best ability is availability when you're a quarterback.
Are you injured or are you hurt? Because this is the NFL. Yeah. You have to play hurt.
Yeah, definitely. And when you're a running quarterback as well and you try to run over linebackers, like you need to, like there's a lot of that stuff going on.
I think the problem is he's always been the biggest dude on the football field and now he's not.
Yeah, now he's realizing what it is to actually be hit.
Yeah.
Jay, the Chiefs are going up against the Broncos. The Broncos are 10.5-point favorites. Jay, can the Broncos step up and make it or break it game? If the Broncos win, they are in.
Okay. This is weird for me, but I am going to take the Broncos in this game minus the 10. But I'm also going to have Carson Wentz as one of your fantasy players. So this is a weird mix for me. I actually think we're going to have an odd shootout of the backups for Kansas City and the Broncos because the Broncos are going to be able to move the ball a little better than they have with this defense being down. And I know Carson Wentz does dumb things, but people forget this motherfucker can sling the ball.
Yeah, how big of a game is this for Carson Wentz going forward, Jay?
It's his future because he almost didn't have a team this year. He barely had a team that was interested even as a backup. And I get why you held out and you went to the Chiefs. That's a smart move if you're going to be a backup. You could ride Patrick Mahomes to a Super Bowl, or if Patrick Mahomes get hurt, maybe you're playing in the playoffs type thing. I get that. So it was a smart move, but I think this is Carson Wentz's audition for the rest of his NFL career, if that makes sense, because he had bad things with his attitude coming out. Seems like no problems with Andy Reid
with him as a backup. Yeah, everybody expected him to be terrible in terms of attitude as a backup, but like nobody said anything while he was a Ram, and he came out and played an excellent game for the LA Rams to finish the year last year. Nobody said anything about him as a backup for the Chiefs, and he's going into this game. Carson Wentz might be the most talented backup in the fucking league at the moment. In terms, like, he was on MVP caliber before he got injured for the Philadelphia Eagles as well. So for me, this is Carson Wentz's ability to maybe go out there and claim one of these starting jobs as well for like one of those teams that are really struggling to get a quarterback. Like the vet teams, like forget Cleveland would be ridiculous for taking somebody with the attitude history of Carson Wentz. Like they clearly can't control people with bad attitude. But yeah, I think this is a huge game for Carson Wentz as well, and I think he's going to play well in it. Also, Jay, the Chiefs don't lose games. Like the Chiefs will be going into this game ridiculously prepared, even with their backups. So I've got the Chiefs in this one. They're one of my best bets. And they're my best bet at 10 points. They remain one of my best bets at 10.5. The line has now moved to.
All right,
Jay, what I think we should do now, because we've got 10 minutes before kickoff, of how many of the early window games have we still got?
5.
It's 5 games, but which ones are late windows? These are all late windows now, aren't they? Okay, let's do our...
Do you just want to burn through the picks quick?
Yeah, I'm thinking we just burn through these because they don't matter. Yeah, all of these games don't matter, apart from maybe the Dolphins. So, Jay, the Raiders are going up against the Chargers. The Chargers are 6.5-point favorites. The Chargers do have some seeding stuff on this. The 5th seed is on the line for them. Do you think they'll win this game?
Yeah, I think the Chargers win this game. Give me the Chargers minus the 6.5. And to answer your other question, yes, I think Antonio Pierce is fired by the end of the year, or by tomorrow on Black Monday.
Great work on the show notes, Jay. I think Antonio Pierce will be fired at the end of this year as well. I think because the Chargers now have something on it, because they'll replace the Steelers in the 5th seed if they win this game, because they have something on it, they will now go out there and win the game. Jay, the Jets are now 1.5-point favorites after being 0.5-point favorites against the Dolphins. Going up against the Dolphins here. Jay, how much of a step down is Tyler Huntley from Tua? Because for me, it's not a lot.
No, that first game was bad, but he didn't know the offense, all of that other shit. He looked good, and he saved their ass in the last game. I think Tyler Huntley is a great backup for them. They definitely need to re-sign him. He's insurance in case Tua gets hurt. I still think Tua is a better quarterback, but I think Tyler Huntley can get it done. I did say that I could see Aaron Rodgers throwing 5 touchdowns, but I don't have faith in either of these teams. So with that said, I'm just going to bank on the better players winning this game. So give me the Dolphins.
All right. In this game, I'm taking the Dolphins as well. This is actually one of my best bets. Unfortunately, it's my best bet at 0.5 points, not at 1.5, but I'm going to take it at 1.5 as well. I think in this game, the Dolphins actually have the playoffs to play, might still have the playoffs to play for still, depending on how it goes with the Broncos and the Chiefs. And I agree with, I think the Miami Dolphins defense is clinically underrated so far this season. Jay, in the battle of the NFC West, a game that would have meant a lot, but doesn't mean anything now. They could actually finish with the same record, but because of strength of schedule, the Rams will go through to the playoffs. The Seahawks are 7.5-point favorites against the Rams. Jay, Geno Smith has $6 million in incentives on the line in this game for getting a 10-win season, for getting a certain amount of yards and a certain amount of touchdowns. How much do incentives mean going into this final week for players?
Oh, they mean a ton for the player, especially that because that's money, right? Cash money.
$6 million.
Yep, and it's the actual reason why I'm taking the Seahawks, but I think the Seahawks will play their players because it's the last game of the season. and they'll go out there playing against the backup. So give me the Seahawks minus the 7.5. And yes, the Rams should be resting their players.
Yeah, the Rams always rest their players. Sean McVay is a guy who rests his players. We'll see Jimmy Garoppolo, who I totally forgot was a Ram, but we'll see Jimmy Garoppolo coming back. I think that's a reason why I'm going to pick up the Seahawks as well at 7.5. 7.5 feels like a lot, but I know the Rams will just rest everybody because that's what Sean McVay does. So we'll barely see anybody on defense either. Jay, the 49ers and the Cardinals are going up against each other. The Cardinals are 4.5-point favorites. Could Josh Dobbs affect Brock Purdy's contract?
No, I don't think so. We've seen enough from Josh Dobbs where I think he's scary to even has as a backup. I think he's like a third string emergency type of guy. I think the Cardinals are in the right mode. They're moving in the right direction. Add a couple more pieces and they'll be where they want to be. Give me the Cards minus the 4.5 because I think the Cards will try to put this away and head out on a good note to end the season.
Yeah, I'll take the Cardinals at 4.5 on this one. I think their defense is much better than people actually give it credit for. And I think I agree. I think there are a couple of pieces away as well. I think Josh Dobbs may affect, if he plays really well, then it becomes any quarterback can play well in Kyle Shanahan's system, right? That's where the narrative might go on Brock Purdy's contract, but I don't think it's going to happen. Jay, I'm going to skip this final game so we can just talk about it because it's the only ridiculously important game, and we've got 5 minutes before people play. So Jay, let's go through our fantasy players of the week really quickly so people can put them in their fantasy teams if they're still listening. Guys, if we help you win your fantasy final, like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that stuff. Jay, your first player in your fantasy players to watch this week.
Carson Wentz. If you need a quarterback, put him in.
Yeah, I've actually gone for a quarterback as well. If you need a quarterback because they're sitting yours, Geno Smith with those $6 million in incentives and one of the highest yardage players this year. Jay, fantasy players number 2.
Xavier Worthy. I know people think he's going to sit. I don't. I think he's going to be their number 1 receiver for Carson Wentz this week. So play you some Xavier Worthy.
I like that. It's a brave pick, just in case he obviously sits the whole time. But like, I like that.
How do you sit? How do you sit everybody? Your receiver core so thin. You have to play somebody, right? So
yeah, and you play the guy who needs the most snaps,
and it ain't going to be D-Hop. You know.
Yeah, and the Bronco. Yeah, and he'll actually be going up against a decent defense, so it's really good reps for him to have as well. Jay, I've picked a guy who has changed their offense when he comes in, J.K. Dobbins, for the LA Chargers, comes in, plays great football for them in a game that matters against a weak rushing defense in the Raiders. Jay, who is your third fantasy player to watch?
Dobbins was going to actually be my third one, but I'm going to switch it up. Get you some Jordan Addison in the game. They're going to really try to take away JJ Jordan's, and with that rough defense, they're probably going to have to triple team JJ. Get you some Jordan Addison in that game.
Jay, I can't believe we've just done this. My third player was actually going to be Jordan Addison.
I tried not to double up with you.
Is Jordan Addison. So everybody definitely take J.K. Dobbins and Jordan Addison because we agree on that one. I agree with you on Jordan Addison.
And Carson Wentz, too. I think we gave you some really good picks this week, guys, to put in if you're struggling to find a guy for your fantasy team.
Yeah, all definitely.
Right. We talked a lot about this Vikings game, but I do want to answer one of your questions. It says, can the Lions offense outscore the Vikings defense with the injuries? I think that's what makes this game close, is that the Lions, because the Lions at the beginning of the year were just firing on everything, but I think that defense hurts them, and I think it's what gives the Vikings a good opportunity to get in here and win this game.
Yeah, so the Lions are going up against the Vikings. The Lions are 3-point favorites. Everybody, this is for the NFC number 1 seed. I will be staying up for this game, Jay. I'm going to nap during the middle games, make myself a coffee, and then stay up so I can actually watch this game because it's so important. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that basically is the synopsis of the game right there. Like, can the Lions offense beat this Vikings defense? And for me, I'm not sure. I think this Vikings defense shows some ridiculous looks. I think the Lions offense also shows ridiculous looks. So it'd be fun to watch them go up against each other. Huge game for both organizations here. Jay, what is Sam Darnold's MVP chance?
0, but it should be higher. 0, but it should be higher. Brian Flores, don't blitz. Stop blitzing. Go against everything you believe in and stop blitzing today.
Yeah, I think when you were saying that, I went back and watched a few films of Vikings blitzes, and I was like, do you know what? Like, the guy's right. Like, Jay's right here. Like, show your blitzing, drop out. Show your blitzing, drop out. Show it.
I mean,
drop
you can
out,
blitz
straight
once
away.
in a while. It's football, but like, I want 80% of your shit to be coverage.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because you're going up against Jamar Gibbs and not
run blitz the shit out of Jamar
Devin
Gibbs
Moncrief.
on first down too. Run blitz the shit out of Gibbs. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. But they have to make sure the most important thing they do is make sure they keep contained, and when they're playing the pass, leak out somebody with Jamar Gibbs on every check down as well. That's really important to do in this game. I know we just explained that's NFL defense 101. That's ridiculously hard to do against the Lions. All right, guys, thank you very much. That's our final Sunday pregame show of the year. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the playoff era of this season. Jay, send us out like you always do.
Well, since they're already singing the national anthem, I'll make it short. Hit the like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the weekend. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.